Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Hagel, Mr. Preston, thank you so much for joining us today. Secretary Hagel, let me go to the administration's own Guantanamo Task Force report, where they reviewed the files of these 5 detainees that were transferred and unanimously recommended in 2010 they continue to be held by the United States based on the specifics of their cases. The task force also said that it was conceivable with adequate security measures the 5 could be sent elsewhere eventually. In light of those recommendations, that these detainees continue to be kept, and that recommendation taking place when it did, can you tell us what extraordinary security measures can Qatar offer today to allow for this transfer?
Well, again, that's the essence of much of our mitigating dimension that why we signed off on the deal, those assurances the first year. Congressman, again, I will say, when we close this place down and go into the classified, we'll go into every one of those specifics. But I would tell you this, you may have already read the MOU, which we sent up here yesterday. And we'll be glad to take you down into the subparagraph 6 of each one of those to get to your question. But go beyond my testimony here. I don't want to do that. And if it's okay, we'll wait to.
Let me go back historically then and look at the history of Qatar and what they've done in receiving detainees. As you know, the first transfer to Qatar was in 2008, and was that one considered a successful test case?
I believe, and I just asked our general counsel if we've just had one transfer. Is that right, to Qatar?
To my knowledge.
So we've had one. Okay. I don't know all the history of that transfer, although my understanding is it wasn't particularly good, and generally. So what's changed? I again addressed this here this morning. But first of all, you have a new emir. We've got more presence, assets there. Their relationship with the area and with us is significantly changing. Now, are these absolute guarantees? No. I mean, there are very few absolute guarantees in life, as we all know. But I think a number of things have changed enough, significantly changed, to be able to have confidence in the enforcement that the emir told the President of the United States that he would personally see to that, as well as the government. And if you follow down, as you did, through your reading of those MOU requirements, and then we'll get into the details, we felt confident that that MOU covered enough, but the enforcement was good enough.
You did acknowledge, though, that there was an additional risk there in Qatar taking those detainees, especially based on their past performance. So are you comfortable with that risk? And does this willingness for the U.S. to accept that risk, does that now set the stage for the U.S. transferring detainees to other nations who have not met obligations under previous agreements in accepting these detainees from Guantanamo?
Well, you said the right word, risk, and that is the essence of what we're always dealing with here. And the analysis that we made, the decision I made, as well as the National Security Council and ultimately the President, again, I say, we believe that all of this together could substantially mitigate the risk.
Let me ask this. There's some concern, too, that of those considerations given for the Qatari government and what they will do to keep up with these detainees, is there the opportunity for these detainees to go to the Qatari legal system to have these travel restrictions lifted so that under legal means they could actually have free reign to travel throughout Qatar or elsewhere?
Well, I'll ask the General Counsel. He signed the MOU, and I'm going to ask him to handle that in particular, that question, because he negotiated and signed it. Thank you.
I think the question is best answered in the closed session, if you would indulge us in that respect.
Okay. Well, let me close by asking this then. What happens to these detainees after a year?
As has been said, the restrictions of the MOU are for a one-year period. That includes the restriction on their travel outside of Qatar. So after 1 year.
So after 1 year, no restrictions?
Except under circumstances that we would discuss in the closed.
Gentleman's time's expired.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.